Well, hi there, folks. Good morning. It's a big day. It's a huge day of horse racing today. If you're a South African racing fan, I don't think you'll get much better than this when it comes to today's feature race. The Lomrance King's Plate runs down in Cape Town. It's really a glorious affair. There are 10 races carded. The important thing about today, Lyall Cooper, is that there is a big pick six carryover, and no doubt everyone will be wanting to chip into that and hopefully to win it post-Christmas blues. 6 million rand is the likely pool because there's a carryover of 1 million going into the pick six today. But it really is a wonderful event, isn't it?
Wonderful event, starting off in race number one. And I've got a feeling that this pick six is going to go higher, Nico. I think they're going to get more than 6 million rand because we've had our champions, we've had good horses, but we might just be watching another legend here. Yeah. And that makes it so interesting. Yeah. Lovely.
Have you been to the Queen's Plate before? Now the King's Plate? Have you been to the meeting?
I have never been in my life, Nico.
I've been once. So I'll top it. I've been once in my life. And it was glorious. It really is. It's not packed to capacity, but it is a splendid day out there, especially if the weather's good. And I'm just looking at the weather report now. It's expected to
it looks good.
Clear skies out at Kenilworth today. The track conditions good. It's 22 degrees. I mean, 22 penetrometer rather. And there's been no rainfall down there. So it really does look like a glorious day. But the big thing is the pick six carryover. And the other thing which we need to let people remind them about, because some people only tune in for weekend racing, is our Clock in the Gallop direct line. Now, this has been steadily taken up during the course of the week. And you can still come through today to get today's and tomorrow's selections. Just while we're on tomorrow, the slide says Scottsville, but it moved yesterday. It's now gone to Greyville, and correct me, Lyall, but I think it's on the Greyville Poly track tomorrow.
Greyville Poly, it's been moved to Greyville Poly already.
Yeah, it's moved to Greyville Poly track tomorrow. So you will get today's and tomorrow's selections. Unfortunately, we can't back down on the price. The price is as is. It means instead of paying just over 60 rand a meeting, you're paying double. But the important thing about today, Lyall, and I'm not going to go through all the details because I've been through the umpteen times before, is that when we do give out our selections, the ringer, Robert Bloomberg, has been kind enough to send us his take on the card today. So when we do those selections, we will definitely incorporate, and when we listen to Robert Bloomberg, as we've always done on Clock in the Gallop, and I spoke to him earlier on in the week actually about it, we always elevate, they almost veto, that's how much respect we've got for Robert. They almost veto our decision. So if we have discussed it between ourselves and we've come up with a final answer of what we believe, we then refer back to Robert, and Robert guides us and sort of vetoes the decision over all of us. So that's how we respect him. And if people do come on board, that will be factored into our final selection. So I hope I've put that correctly to the public. Unfortunately, we're not going to give them out on this show, but we will give them to those people that have paid. Anyway, so looking forward to hearing from people on the final 2 days of our Clock in the Gallop direct line. Now, I'm not going to go through every race, but let's start with the juicy one first. Let's start with the Lomrance King's Plate. That's the race I want to start with. What does Lyall Cooper think? And what does he think going into the race, and what does he think will happen come sort of 10 minutes after the race? What are we going to be saying?
Well, yeah, one of the most exciting races in a few years because of this chap, Charles Dickens. There's just so many positive comments about him. I've heard Aldo chatting about him. I think he could be the real deal. And today will rubber stamp whether he is a horse chestnut or just another champion. And I'm very strong on him, Nico. I think he is unbelievably special. He will have to beat Jet Dark and, of course, Comedy Ding. I know Gavin Lorena is very confident. Jet Dark, unbelievable animal. And then maybe horses like number 2 as well. I've got to mention Triple Fortune. But for me, I'm going full in, Nico. I think Charles Dickens the real deal. I can't wait to watch him. I haven't been this excited to watch a horse, one particular horse, in many years. So Charles Dickens from Jet Dark and Committee Ding. I think that is how they'll run. And there's some other talented horses, but I think this is the day for Charles.
Now, what do you make of the weight that Aldo's had to lose? I mean, there's been a few comments made. Obviously, we go back to that Tuesday meeting, which we all chipped in on and tipped on, and he rode that first race juvenile winner, and then was stood down for the rest of the day. Now, it is taxing on the body to lose. I mean, I don't know if he's ridden less than sort of 59 or even 59 and a half, and he's got to get down to 55. There is an allowance in the rules that will allow him, I think, to be maybe +1 at most.
Yeah.
I mean, I see earlier in the day with Trompy that Grant Van Niekerk's put up 3.5, but that's declared. So there's a debate going around that maybe they should have just said +2. Therefore, less pressure on the Oak, and he comes instead of having to lose 5, he's got to lose about 2, or 3. So. But they didn't do that. They didn't at declaration time. They didn't say, right, we'll be +1 or +2, because it must have been a discussion, and Aldo must have been confident that it'd get down to the weight or close there too. The point I wanted to make here, and I'm not deterring at all from the thing, but I'm just picking up debatable points and acting as devil's advocate, is that before the King's Plate, okay, Aldo has 1, 2, 3, 4 other rides.
Yes.
Which means he's lost the weight, and he's got 4 other rides before Charles Dickens. It is taxing on the body. I'm bringing up this point because it's not going to be easy for him. Not the horse, for Aldo Domain.
No, I got a feeling that adrenaline is going to carry him through, because I haven't seen Aldo this excited about a horse in his whole life. So
absolutely, that's the point. But I mean, you're a professional sportsman. I mean, you played golf at the highest level. There is a lot of psychological issues when it comes to playing at the top level and so forth. What I'm bringing into play here is the fact that he's got 4 other rides, and all have got big chances, huge chances. What I'm saying is that if he wins on some of those early ones, that means that adrenaline is sure to carry him through. He's just on a superior animal. The point that overrides what I've said, that he's on a superior horse, and that really takes over at the end of the day, doesn't it?
100%. I can give you a very stupid example of when I did play against guys like Ernie and Retief. I reckon Ernie could have had a bottle of whiskey and still beaten me.
Yeah, so that's the point. Yeah.
I think Aldo will do this. I maybe a lesser jockey, but Aldo, I think he's going to do it, and he'll give his 100%, particularly to Charles.
Well, after having said all of that, I absolutely agree with you. I think that that this horse is just an incredible and almighty animal. In fact, I had to laugh at some of the forums before the Guineas that was saying that he was going to get beat. It was laughable. It was people are entitled obviously to opinions, but there were those people in the world, and there are quite a few of them in South African racing, that just want to detract from champions and just pull them down just for the sake of it. But I had to laugh when I saw that, and that person or those people are eating their words after the Guineas, and let's see what I've no doubt they're pulling against the horse again today because of what they did in the Guineas. But the point being is that he's a superior animal. Whoever wins this race gets an automatic entry to the Breeders' Cup. In terms of payment of transport, a huge subsidization rather of expenses to get over there and to run there at the end of October. Ideally, we want to see. I mean, I even tweeted after his Guineas win, he should go international now. But the point is that they're going to run this and then probably do that. See what happens, because it has to win. It has to win to get the invitation.
He has to win, and I can see him running in the Breeders. And I've got one more story to share with you. I spoke to Keegan de Mello the Thursday before the Guineas, and we walked out the Vault together. He was riding number 1. If you can remind me of the name, number 1
At
in
my
the
command. At my
Thank
command.
you, at my command.
Very good horse.
And we walked up. Yes, we walked out together. He said, "Lyall, I'm going to beat that Charles Dickens." He says, "You don't understand. I was drawn badly last time.
Yeah.
This time I'm drawn well. I'm going to give him a go." I saw him a week later. He said, "Oh my goodness." He said, "That is a freak."
Yeah.
That's kicking the mirror's words.
Yeah, and
Charles Dickens is a freak of nature.
He's going to be the champion jockey this season, no doubt. He's just riding it. So there's one other thing, and I want to bring up the betting while we're talking, and while we're finishing up on the King's Plate. We're both huge Charles Dickens fans. I have been for some time now, and we certainly think he'll win today and win well. I just want to bring up the betting because interestingly, there has been money for his contemporary and his stable companion Jet Dark. So here it is as we see it this morning. You've got Charles Dickens at 4.5 to 10, 5 to 10, and the money in for Jet Dark from 9 to 2 to 33 to 10, strictly on merit ratings. Okay, so this is again another issue. On merit ratings, Jet Dark is rated 130. Now, these are the official ratings. Whether or not we believe the official ratings, and sometimes the NHA have come up with a few press releases that don't believe the ratings because they're not what they should be because there's a problem with the program and all la-di-da stuff. Point is that strictly on ratings, okay, Jet Dark is 130. If you factor in the weight for age allowance of Charles Dickens, he comes into 118, right? Which means that Jet Dark should be giving Charles Dickens 6 kilograms on the official ratings, and he's only giving him 5.
There's one out.
So he's a kilo out at the official ratings, but there is the school of thought that say that Charles Dickens is definitely better than 128. In fact, that he's almost 135, on the last win. And if he is in that early 130s region, then he's well in. So the question is whether you believe the handicappers ratings of the horse or not.
On the 3-year-old.
And I'll be honest, I don't believe that it's 128. I think it's 128 plus and 130 plus. Therefore, that's the reason and the reasoning behind why I think Charles Dickens. Whether there's that much difference between them, that one should be 5 to 10 and the other 33 to 10. That's the debatable point.
That's the debate.
I don't think that the chasm between the two is that large. I mean, how can Jet Dark, who's going for his 3rd King's Plate win, be 33 to 10 if the other horse is 4.5 to 10? It doesn't make sense. So we had this debate the other day, and you'll remind me of the horses' names. Quiet Rebellion was up against the favorite. And you and I said we'd rather back Quiet Rebellion a place at 10 or 12 to 1 because we'll know it'll run than back the favorite for a win. The favorite won. But we'd rather back Quiet. So it's similar story here. I mean, Jet Dark a place is looking okay.
Yeah, but that is one of the best places you can get in the world. I mean, he's a top animal.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so finish this off for me by your 1, 2, 3, 4 in the King's Plate later on. If you're taking a quartet, well, don't tell me how you'll take the quartet. I don't want to know how you're going to play it. Just tell me what your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th is in the exact order.
Well, Charles Dickens first, Jet Dark second, Comedy Ding, and then number 2, which is Trip of Fortune for Candice Bass-Robinson as well. Exact order. I'm not normally this confident when it comes to these big races, but I think they'll run 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, and 8, unless something else improves.
Okay, that's your take on it. I just wanted to add one other that I think might run okay, and that is I rate him a very good horse, and that is he's now with Ricky Maingard as El Mutana, the Exeter Cock horse. He's a very, very good animal, and I'm not saying in any shape or form that he can win, but I think he's somewhere. He can make those quartets pay. So don't leave out number 5, El Mutanas. He's 50 to 1. Great to have Christophe Soumillon in town as well. A bit of national flavor to the meeting today. And it's wonderful to see him in town. I can't remember when he was last year, but he's definitely been here and he's definitely ridden at Kenilworth before.
Yes, and he's ridden a group race before. He's won a group race before in South Africa.
Yeah, that's right. He has. It was a.
Just for the punters out there who don't know him, He's an absolutely sensationally talented jockey.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know him, and just a pleasure to watch him ride in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. I want to discuss some other races on the card. Obviously, we're not going to go into depth into the card, but the one I want to discuss on is that first race, the ladies' race.
Yes.
Okay, because this is another great thing that's been put together by Cape Racing. You've got riders from around the country, and then an international rider, Swanepoel, who rides number 4, Ancient Epic. She's apparently from the UK. And we've got a Zimbabwean rider, Omira Rasike. Omira started her career off as an apprentice in Zimbabwe. She then came and trained here in South Africa. She was then, funnily enough, I think I'm right in saying that she was told that she wouldn't make it and that she was too weak and that she must do something else. So I think she went to the Summerhill School of Excellence, and she's ended up riding in the UK for a top yard.
Good for her.
And she rides every day on the gallops at Newmarket, which means she gets on top of some very, very good horses in the
Good
UK.
horses.
And credit to the organisers and to Gaynor and the team at Lomrans for bringing her back to South Africa. And she rides a popular choice here, Pacific Green. So nice to have that international flavour to it. What is your thinking, not knowing much about the riders? If I have one criticism, I looked for profiles of the lady riders.
And you couldn't find them.
I don't know where I'm going wrong or whether I'm looking in the wrong place, but I would love to know pen picks of the lady riders. Surely to goodness that can be found somewhere. Can it? I couldn't find
Nico,
it.
exactly the same problem. I was excited to go and learn about all of them, and I couldn't find a thing. Can't find a thing.
So if there is one criticism, it's that. It's that from my side, is that I'd like to know who E.R. Finney is, or Emily Rose Finney. I mean, if I don't know, how the general public going to know? Emily Rose, I think it is.
Is that what's
Emma Rose? Is it Emma
Rose?
The
work ride? Yeah, it's M Rose. What's the work rider? I'm trying to think of the work rider. And she's changed her name. Now, again, it's not guessed. I don't know. I don't know who they are.
So my point is that was my negative, because I wanted to find out, if they had won races, what their background is, and I couldn't find it. But a bit in the dark on that front. But the form back to front. What do you think of the first?
Well, I do actually like number 8, and I'm so glad to hear you talking about Omira, that she's got that sort of international experience, because I think Pacific Green should go very close here, very consistent, and I like that last run. So that's my first selection. Number 9, Bonica. Julia Pilbeam is the jockey here, Justin Snaith as well. I thought this could be a little bit of value. I'm not sure of the betting, but number
there
9,
it is. I've got it up on the screen for you now.
Oh, thank you. Number 9 is very much in the betting.
9-2, Bonica.
And then number 6, Miss Greenlight, Colinda Austin. I thought this might be a good little each way. I'm leaning in to see the prize. 4-1. So money's come. Daughter of Give Me the Green Light. Also very consistent. Daughter of Give Me the Green Light. And then the one distinction. So in that order, but not confident because of what you've just said. But 8, 9, 6, and 1. And it's lovely to see Vicky Lorena and Kelsey Mayhew taking rides as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't find them in my top selections, but doesn't mean they can't win.
Absolutely. So I agree with you. Pacific Green and Omira, they have a strong chance in this race. I think they've got a big chance of winning, and there's been money from 7-2 into 5-2. That's one of a host of runners from Justin Snaith who supported this race in no uncertain terms. He's got half a dozen. He's got half the field. Just very quickly, I narrowed it down to Pacific Green, and then I'll give you a few others for me. Number 7, Butterfly Beauty at 12.5 to 1. They've put the blinkers on, but they've taken the tongue tie off. I thought that on some of its earlier runs. I'm hoping, because Tony Riverland helped us out on New Year's Day with the Greyville card, and his daughter rides number 1, Distinction. I'm hoping that she goes well, Danielle, on Distinction. She's at 10 to 1. And then one other who is a completely lunatic price, and I know absolutely nothing about Hannah Sider, number 12, Say Yes, who comes with only 55 kilos on her back. The daughter, Give Me the Green Light, and I see she's as big as 25 to 1. But I think they probably all have Pacific Green and Omira Rasike to beat. And wouldn't it be great for the sponsors to have the first race winner on the day, Drakenstein?
100%. And of course, the worry is here. There might just be one or two of these ladies might just not, they might be firstly nervous. They might make a few mistakes. I don't even know who they are, half of them. Yeah. So we just got to tread carefully here, don't we, Nico?
You've got to have BMT. You've got to have BMT.
Yeah.
And so that's what it comes down to. Right. I'm going all the way to race 6 now, because this is another hotly contested race. This is the Premier's Trophy, Grade 2 over 1,800 meters. And here you've got Universal, who's been backed in from 7-2 into 28-10 as the top choice. Then Do It Again, who's at 5-1, 6-1 Rascallion, and then 8-1 Pomp and Power, Nexus, and Warrior down at the bottom. Very, very hotly contested. And what do you like?
Sure, Nico, you put me to one of my hard races here. Obviously, Universal's got a chance here. I did like a little bit of Rascallion, because Rascallion likes the course and distance. Drawn 158.5 kilograms, even though he theoretically held by number 3 on that last run. I think he's going to enjoy this 1,800, obviously. He's beaten horse like Do It Again at level weight. So for me, Rascallion. Number 4, Winchester Mansion. I like this at a very big price, Nico, with the cheek pieces on. I think it was 16-1. I said number 3, and then, of course, a horse like number 12, Silver Host, with Rachel aboard for Justin Snaith. Also stays all day long. But I'm very open to listening to you, Nico, because this is one race where I did struggle, to be honest.
Okay, so funny enough, you mentioned the horse that I think is the dark horse in the race, and that is Rascallion. I think he comes in okay here. I think he'll run well from a 1 draw. His last run was from a bad draw. He was drawn 9 out of 10, and he made a little bit of progress in the straight. But I think he might be the value horse in the Premier's Trophy, number 1, Rascallion. I like Universal. There's been lots said about him, and I've had the opportunity actually of chatting to JP van der Merwe in the past couple of months in my visits to PE when we were alone at the airport and having a drink after the races. And he tells me he's an exceptional racehorse. Now, he's only sat on him once, but he's ridden him a few times. But he said to me, this horse is back to his best. So Universal, I have the utmost respect for. Pomp and Power's got his issues. They've got the South African horse whisperer Milan du Toit working on him. And hopefully they get him right, because if he returns back to some of that earlier form, he's a massive factor over here. And unfortunately for the owner, Greg Bortz and partners, he's just got a mind issue. And unless that's sorted out, we can't see him running anywhere near his earlier form. Pierce Stratum and Nexus get on like a house on fire, hand in glove. So I would think that one would come into the reckoning somewhere. And then for me, I don't know whether you can exclude a horse like Do It Again. He's just
no, you can't.
He has been there and done that. He's not drawn the best. Fade Herber's ridden him before for 3 successes of his 9. So 9 of his wins, Bernard's ridden him 3 times. And he's just a very, very honest horse, is Do It Again. So I narrowed it down to those ones that I've mentioned. I think the winner could well come from one of those. But like you said, maybe Rascallion might be the horse there at 6 or so.
My one worry about your comment is, what were you and JP doing alone in the airport? There should have been other people around.
Oh, no, I said alone at the table. I mean, often there are other jockeys. So what I'm saying is, I want to qualify that, because often there are other jockeys around, and jockeys don't open up really when there's other jockeys around, because they might be scared of them stealing their rides, or I don't know. But this is me and JP just chatting, and it was unsolicited in terms of asking him. It's not like I said, JP, he just said to me, I'm riding you on the weekend. That was before that run. And he said to me, he's a hell of a horse. And
wow.
Lyall, we're going to leave it there, because the gist of it was to come on and just chat about it. There's pick 6s to get on today. We urge people to join the Clock and the Gallop Direct Live. We know that we're not sponsored strongly on this channel, so we rely on people's support and their subscriptions, and basically that's where we're offering all our selections today. So if you watch Clocking the Gallop, you can find the details at the start of the video. Thanks very much for joining us, Lyall. All the best. I know you're working in the studio today. We'll be listening to you and following the action, and have a great Lomrance Kings Plate day of 2023.
Thanks, Nico.